In business, risk is given, and all organizations world over have to take certain level of risk in order to generate returns to the stakeholders. Yet, I don't think any organization factored for 26/11 Mumbai terror attack or Lehman Brothers crisis in 2008. So effectively, what are the new age risks and how are organizations surmounting these new challenges? That is our talking point. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. If I begin by asking you, Mr. Suyash, low probability events that have had catastrophic consequences for the country and the corporates, 26/11 terror attack, 9/11 terror attacks, or Lehman Brothers crisis. Have these events made corporate and insurance company relook at the term risk? I want all the panelists to respond to this question.
Unfortunately, I'll say that insurance is yet not got the same standing as a profession or importance by corporates.
Okay.
And all these events are definitely making them see insurance in a more serious light and look at insurance managers more seriously and their role.
Okay.
I personally feel that industry in India needs to be taking this more as something as a risk management center than a cost center. And giving it more importance like they do with, say, a finance function or an HR function or a marketing function. So right from academic institutions to corporates, to the insurance companies, all need to take the profession of insurance first seriously so that we can attend to this risk, because today, as you have asked a very valid question, the worry is that if we don't take this thing seriously, it can cripple an organization. And the balance sheet of the company and the bottom line, if both have to be protected, then it is very important that we look at these incidents seriously and all corporates give insurance the due which it deserves.
Okay, let me get Sanjay. Somebody who has been underwriting this, how do you view it?
I look at the entire focus on risk management to be the fundamental part of every enterprise actually. There are various risks, but currently we in this kind of world, given the incidents which you have mentioned, there are a lot of risks which are emerging, which are not only complex, they are volatile, they are uncertain, and they have huge implications, as sir said, on the balance sheet as well as on profitability. Given that, there is no way you can ignore risk management. Okay. Having said that, there are only a few, some things which are out of your control, some things which are in your control. What is in your control is to be able to understand these risks, quantify these risks, and be able to manage this risk much better, either through transfers through insurance, okay, or be able to prevent it if possible. But the idea of, I would totally endorse the fact the corporates have woken up and the need to really look at risk management as a core strategic function by itself. Actually.
Okay, let me get the academic view, Professor. But how do you view it?
Theoretically, we generally define risk as anything arising from unknown. And when we say that, low probability events, one of the major calculations that insurance companies do for charging premium is how many times does it occur. So most of the times company take insurance only as a function of compliance, and okay, it's not a voluntary thing that they get into. And in today's time, like you said, 9/11, it's not that people didn't know that a cockpit of an airplane is the most important part and you should insure it. But most of the airlines before 9/11 used to treat it as an expense. And why should they, spend money on that? But post 9/11, there are solutions which were created which made a cockpit much more bulletproof, secure, and people wanted to spend money on it. And also, insurance companies started reimbursing for, an air hijack, which was not the case before that.
True.
So, as events occur many times, it's not that we don't know what is going to happen, but probably only an event has to occur for us to recognize it as a formidable one to secure yourself against it.
Okay, let me get the consultant. Mr. Kapoor, is it possible to make companies less vulnerable to this kind of event?
See, low probability events are very difficult to predict or identify much in advance. I think what is important really is that in specific cases that you've highlighted, is that how is the organization geared to keep on continuing and recovering from such a impact that happens. So of course one is that you look at insurance, and the second is that is disaster recovery or business continuity planning an integral part of the overall strategy of an organization. And if it is part of a strategy of the organization, does it actually result in that organization allocating adequate funds towards it, so that if any eventuality happens, the company is able to get back up on its feet fairly quickly, and hence the impact on the financials and the assets of the organization is minimized and it's able to continue doing business.
So very typically, what are the major risks Indian companies faces according to you?
With my 31 years of experience in this particular field of insurance risk management, as I call it, when I started my career, the thing which one would look at it was property insurance, loss of profits and things like that. But over a period of time, the subject has evolved so much that today that's gone into the background. What we are looking at is liability risk, D&O risks, you know, with the new Companies Act, cyber risks. And as our group went on expanding and we went into pollution risks, environmental risks, strategic risks. So today there has been a total sea change from what I started with and what I'm doing. And today you really require experts who are having this as their core subject to get into the various diverse risks to which we are exposed to, right from environmental in the water, to pollution in the air, to cyber risk, to suppose we are in the business of BPOs. So the claims which somebody could put in for wrong calls or for unwarranted calls, what you call, you know, disturbing somebody who's already having a D&D, especially in the US where we deal with, or in Canada, you know, where the laws are very strict and tough. So, you know, it's gone a total sea change. And what we want is with the private sector insurers coming, people like ICICI Lombard who are the leaders, that they should be focusing more on their role to develop more and better covers for the industry with the complex risk which the industry now faces.
How often an insurance company like yours do the risk profile of your clients?
I believe now it's become the basic kind of sort of agenda for us now. Given a complex world where risks are changing every day, and where you need to make sure that the client understands those risks. One is a question of not understanding and hence being blind to it and not taking. We don't want that situation to come. We want him to be very, very aware of the risks. Not bet on the balance sheet risks. Which are the low probability and high attritional operational risks. They should be aware. Should be able to have develop plans to mitigate it with experts in place. That's where we want people to be aware of, and we carry out a lot of awareness programs. And we also carry out a lot of risk management programs case to case with the client to make sure that we are able to work on mitigation, prevention, and some of them we find a transfer solution for some of
Let me get Mr. Kapoor. Mr. Kapoor, what according to you are the new age risk when you look at your client's portfolio?
I think the number one risk that is emerging out when I look at, and which is there and it's tabled on all boards, is actually the cyber security risk. So the cyber security risk seems to be the number one, which is a big issue across industries, and actually industries have lost significant amounts of money or information which has been critical to the organization. The other areas like the other area is of course environmental sustainability risks, which are important and which are becoming more integral to how the organization's strategy is evolving in terms of expansion, in terms of sustainability of their operations. And I think those are areas which are still untouched to a large extent, but we are seeing a lot of conversations around that as well. And the point on experts, that becomes very, very, very relevant, because some of these areas are require that expertise to actually look at and to identify. And even geographical risks. So I think where companies are planning to expand into Africa, to Latin America, where they already have operations, I mean those geographies are critical in terms of understanding them, the risks that are associated with those geographies with respect to running or owning businesses. I think those are also some key risks which people are looking at and evaluating